Namaskar. Today is the second anniversary of the Pulwama suicide terror attack on a traveling convoy of CRPF personnel, resulting in 40 of them losing their lives. It was orchestrated by the Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group. Today, Jammu and Kashmir police also defused a 7 kg IED, which was found in the busy General Bus Stand area of Jammu. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid homage to the Pulwama martyrs at a function in Chennai, and he said that their bravery inspires generations. So this story is going to be in focus tonight. We'll also be analyzing the Senate acquittal of the former US President Donald Trump. You're watching Newsnight. My name is Mark Lynn. Let's begin with the headlines. Prime Minister gives a strong message to the country's enemies. Speaking in Chennai, the Prime Minister says that armed forces are fully capable of protecting the motherland, says that India supports peace, but nation sovereignty will be protected at all costs. Hails the armed forces for their courage and bravery. Remembering the martyrs on the second anniversary of the Pulwama attack, Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that no Indian can forget this day and that the sacrifices of the martyrs will continue to inspire many generations. Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh also pay homage to the Pulwama martyrs. In a major success, the Jammu and Kashmir police and security forces detect 7 kgs of improvised explosive device from a Jammu bus stand. They foiled a possible cross-border terrorist attack, and there are 2 terrorists who have been arrested. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates and lays the foundation stone of several development projects in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. New metro rail, irrigation, port and petrochemical projects ensure ease of living and promote self-reliance. The Prime Minister says that the centre is committed to all-round development of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Another example of India's self-reliance, the Prime Minister hands over DRDO's main battle tank Arjun Mark 1A to the Army, emphasises the priority of the government in strengthening self-reliance in defence production as well as building a strong and modern army. Thousands of protesters take to the streets in Myanmar's major cities for the 9th straight day. Engineering students do march through the downtown Yangon wearing white and carrying placards demanding the release of the former leader Aung San Suu Kyi. The military government assumes vast powers for arrests and detentions, more armored vehicles on the roads. US Senate acquits the former President Donald Trump in the impeachment trial. 7 Republicans vote against the former president. Trump reacts to the acquittal, saying that he will emerge with a vision for a bright, radiant and limitless American future. India takes strong control of the Chennai test. England crumbles for 134 runs in their first innings. Ashwin takes 5 for 43 runs. India ends day 2 at 54 for 1 with an overall lead of 249 in the second innings. PM Modi tweets that he took an aerial view of the exciting match from the sky. Our top story. In a boost to self-reliance in the defence sector, Prime Minister Narendra Modi handed over the refurbished, indigenously designed, developed and manufactured Arjun main battle tank MK-1A to the Army. He said that the government has been inspired by the vision of the Tamil poet Subramanya Bharatiya, who had a strong nationalistic message of self-reliance. The Prime Minister also saluted Pulwama martyrs and said that their sacrifice continues to inspire the nation.
Pulwama attack happened. We pay homage to all the martyrs we lost in that attack. धीर भी है, वीर भी है. सैन्य शक्ति and धैर्य शक्ति of our forces are remarkable.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi recalling the Pulwama attack and hailing the valour of India's forces. Addressing a gathering in Chennai, the PM said, "Though the nation and our forces believe in peace, but we will do whatever it takes to protect the sovereignty of the land."
Their bravery will continue to inspire generations. Time and again, they have also shown India believes in peace. But India will protect sovereignty at all costs.
Before the formal handing over of the indigenously designed, developed and manufactured Arjun main battle tank Mk1A, the Prime Minister was accorded a ceremonial salute by the turret of the upgraded Arjun tank. He also interacted with the crew of the tank. Later, the PM handed over the Arjun main battle tank to Army Chief Manoj Mukund Narbane. This battle tank has been indigenously designed, developed and manufactured by CVRDE DRDO along with 15 academic institutions, 8 labs and several MSMEs. The PM said Tamil Nadu is fast evolving into the tank manufacturing hub of the country.
A tank made in Tamil Nadu will be used in our northern border to keep the nation safe. This showcases India's united spirit, Bharat's Ekta Darshan.
This contemporary tank with battle-winning efficacy has 71 new features. Effortless mobility in all terrains, precise target engagement during day and night that ensures high accurate firing capability. The PM described it as another step towards realizing the dream of self-reliant India. He quoted renowned Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati as the inspiration behind self-reliance in the defense sector.
Ayutham Sevam Nalla Kakitam Sevyom Alekal Vaipom Kalvi Salaikal Vaipom Nadeyum Parappu Munar Vandikal Sevyom Gannelam Nandunakavarum Kappalakal Sevom. It means let us make weapons, let us make paper, let us make factories, let us make schools, let us make vehicles that can move and fly, let us make ships that can shake the world.
With Philip Matthew in Chennai, Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, on the 14th of February in 2019, a Jaish-e-Mohammed suicide bomber rammed his explosives-laden vehicle into a CRPF convoy on the National Highway 44 in Pulwama on the Jammu and Srinagar National Highway. And, well, the convoy was travelling from Jammu to Srinagar. In a coordinated response, the Indian Air Force then carried out multiple strikes on a Jaish-e-Mohammed terror training camp in Pakistan on the 26th of February. In Balakot. Prime Minister Narendra Modi recalled the supreme sacrifice of the Pulwama attack martyrs while speaking in Chennai today.
14th of February 2019. Just 2 years ago, on this very day, when the entire world was celebrating the festival of love, Valentine's Day, the enemies of peace were plotting bloodshed. The terrorists, at the directions of their handlers from across the border, were on a mission to carry out a strike which again shook humanity to the core. The Pulwama terror attack once again bore testimony to the barbarism and cowardice of the terrorists. A cavalcade of CRPF vehicles was going from Jammu to Srinagar. It was passing through Lethpura near Avantipura on National Highway 44 in the afternoon. An explosive-laden van intersected the cavalcade with a ground-shaking explosion. There was blood and body parts everywhere. 40 Jawans were martyred. It was the worst terror strike against the troops in Kashmir in the last 3 decades. The attack, carried out by the Jaish-e-Mohammed, left the country feeling both sorrowful and angry. Even 2 years later, the nation remembers the martyrs with sadness and respect. On the second anniversary of the terror attack, homage was paid to the martyrs at Lethpura CRPF camp and also in Jammu. Many eyes were moist with tears.
हमें देश के लिए बलिदान करने वाले अपने इन शहीद साथियों पर फक्र है और इनकी शहादत से कश्मीर के आवाम को आतंकियों के जुल्म और ज्यादती से निजात दिलाने के हमारे प्रण को और बल मिला है.
The wounded hearts of the kin of the martyred braves are still to heal.
परिवार के साथ ये 14 फरवरी का जिसको विश्व लेवल पे वर्ल्ड लेवल पे वैलेंटाइन डे बोला जाता है, इसको मैं ब्लैक डे के नाम पे यहाँ पे दुख साझा करने के लिए परिवार के साथ आया हूँ.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also recalled the supreme sacrifice of the Pulwama attack martyrs during his Chennai visit. Home Minister Amit Shah also remembered the Pulwama braves, saying, "I bow down to the brave martyrs who lost their lives in the gruesome Pulwama attack on this day in 2019. India will never forget their exceptional courage and supreme sacrifice." Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also paid homage to the CRPF martyrs on the second anniversary of the Pulwama terror attack. He said, "I pay homage to those brave CRPF India personnel who sacrificed their lives in 2019 Pulwama terror attack. India will never forget their service to the nation and their supreme sacrifice. We continue to stand with their families who had to suffer due to this attack." The nation in one voice after the Pulwama terror attack sought action against the Pakistan-based terrorists who plotted the strike. The Indian government responded to the nation's sentiments, upholding the honour of the braves. Just 12 days later, the Indian Air Force struck back at the Balakot terror camp across the line of control on the 26th of February 2019 and blew it up sky high. This day reminds the nation each year, never forgive and never forget. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
So that brings us to In Focus tonight, and In Focus is Remembering Pulwama, Firm Hand Against Terrorism. Joining me is a very eminent panel of experts, Lieutenant General Vinod Bhatia, retired former Director General of Military Operations, and Praful Ketkar, editor of The Organizer magazine. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. General Bhatia, at a policy level, when we talk of firm hand against terrorism, what do we actually mean by firm hand? I mean, and what are the gains that one can get by this firm hand against terrorism?
Pakistan is waging this proxy war for over 3 decades now. So the Indian aim is to deter Pakistan from waging this proxy war and to change Pakistan's behavior. This can only be done if we raise the cost for Pakistan, because proxy war is a low-cost, high-effect war. If you can make it a high-cost and low-effect war, I think Pakistan's behavior is likely to change thereafter. And this is what has happened in post-Uri first, and definitely after Pulwama, where we had precision airstrikes on a terrorist training camp of Jaish at Jabba Top, which is about 20 kilometers from Balakot, which we normally call as Balakot airstrikes. And that raised the cost for Pakistan. Pakistan has been carrying out these terrorist attacks perpetrated from Pakistan, sponsored by Pakistan Army, with almost impunity earlier. And this demonstrated political military will. It demonstrated a change in our counter-terrorism strategy, that our counter-terrorism strategy will be preemptive, it will be punitive. So these are the changes that come about because our strategic patience as a nation, we lost that strategic patience. There's a limit to our strategic patience. And that is what has actually happened. And now if we see, Pakistan terror has been capped to a great extent, even in Jammu and Kashmir. Of course, outside Jammu and Kashmir, there have been no terror attacks, and hopefully there will be none. Though Pakistan has not, it's not for want that Pakistan not tried, but they have failed. And even Jammu and Kashmir has seen a relative peace for the last year and a half since the 5th of August.
Indeed, Praful Ketkar, so there is a limit to strategic patience, and we saw, the intent and by the Indian action on the 26th of February in 2019, the airstrikes in Balakot, destroying the terror camps there, the Jaish-e-Mohammed with those airstrikes. This firm hand, it has it also, apart from, the strategies that General Bhatia spoke about, which raises the cost for Pakistan, it basically saves the lives of common people. It makes people safer, when you have this threat fully, finished off in that sense.
Absolutely, Mark. As the Home Minister explained yesterday in the Parliament, it clearly shows that it is paying some positive results. What has happened? Basically, we need to understand what has happened post Balakot. Since 1999, Pakistan always used the tactics of nuclear blackmailing. And there was, a sort of threshold that was created that we cannot cross the LOC. And therefore, Pakistan can keep on bleeding through proxy war on the Indian side. Now, what has happened? On the one hand, we made a precision strike. So there was no actual crossing of the border, but still, this is practically speaking in legal terms, this is Indian territory. But Pakistan has, has been operating from there as terror launch pads. So we first time, made a decisive strike on those launch pads. Politically, if we come to the domestic situation, then we, once the 370 and 35A got amended and done away with, then we have got more control to manage the internal affairs. So the whatever little oxygen that was getting internally to this proxy war, that is also now gone. And lastly, I must emphasize that even at the diplomatic level, on the one hand, we have got away with the obsession with Pakistan. We are into a larger game. So in a way, we have neglected and still isolated Pakistan in the international community. So it's a multi-front strategy that we have adopted, and this post Pulwama, I think that was well thought of and executed strategy, and we are seeing the results today.
Indeed, and the signal is clear, General Bhatia, that retaliation is always in order, and even if it's asymmetric warfare. And we are, you talked about strategic patience running out, and the airstrikes. I mean, that's the kind of retaliation that we are willing to undertake for these kind of terrorist attacks. So this is to put an end to the subversion caused by state actors who have their proxies as terrorists, basically.
Absolutely, these are state actors. I don't call them non-state actors. These are sponsored, trained, accommodated, housed by the Pakistani army and Pakistani ISI. So that we should have no doubts about it. And we have run out of strategic patience, and we had to demonstrate our political military will. And these are executed in a very well-planned, professional manner. And the world was with us because the jus et bellum, the just cause, the moral right was with India. And that is where Pakistan, which is the epicenter of terror, had to pay the price in the diplomatic domain in the world. We had in the UN 194 nations, voting for India. So that shows India's clout, India's power, India's role as a strategic global leader. That strategic space is India. And but we have to make sure that in the long run, I'm sure it's not an immediate term, but in the mid to long term, we have to ensure that Pakistan behavior changes and we are free of terrorism sponsored from Pakistan. And that is very important. That can only happen if we continuously raise the costs for Pakistan's proxy war.
Indeed. Mr. Ketkar, talking about raising the costs, we know that Pakistan itself, by harboring terrorists, is becoming a failed state. I mean, most states that harbor terrorists have ended up as this. They end up as failed states because the terrorists basically destroy them from within. So, I mean, this itself is a failed strategy in a sense, the use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy.
This has been a failed strategy. Otherwise, whether militarily, diplomatically, or financially, Pakistan would not have been such a mess. But the problem till now was either earlier in the phase of Cold War or even in the post-Cold War phase, unfortunately, people somehow, some countries always perceived it to be a kind of having leverage to manage either first as Taliban or a larger, terror network. So they always thought Pakistan to be a useful instrument. So earlier Pakistan and now even China to some extent keep on, giving this excuse, and I would call this excuse because they know very well that Pakistan is a terror state, and terrorism is a officially articulated policy of Pakistan. Wherever you go for the investigation in the terror network operations, you will find some Pakistani link. So it is not just limited to India, but globally. It has been, now established fact. But what has happened, I think, post Pulwama, the way we handled, the way we communicated with the great players in international community, the way we executed our plan, and the way message was conveyed to Pakistan, if we decide. We can do as per our choice of the place and time, and nobody from the great powers or so-called friends of yours are going to come to your help. That message was very important. Post Pulwama strategy clearly gave Pakistan, pushed Pakistan on the back foot. The nuclear blackmailing is also completely negated by that one action, but unfortunately for that, today we had to see the sacrifice of our brave hearts.
General Bhatia, from what Praful Ketkar is saying, I can get the impression that this was an industry in Pakistan, and several states were actually, utilizing Pakistan to some extent in this measure of utilizing terrorism as an instrument of state policy. And this created some sort of an impact on the global economy as such, because it was a method in which to destabilize the global economy to a large extent, terrorism. And when we have, literally got states and diplomatic measures against Pakistan, the global economy too has not been so badly hit by terrorism, would you say? And this is also again from a firm hand against terrorism, and that's the policy that India is adopting.
Absolutely. So that is how Pakistan has been hit very badly economically, and the global economy suffers on account of terrorism because no one is going to invest monies in an insecure situation where the security situation is not good. It has to be peace, stability, and development. So peace and stability are a prerequisite for development and for economic investments. So Pakistan has been brought out by Praful. 80 to 90% of the terror incidents anywhere in the world have a direct or indirect connect with Pakistan. What has actually happened with India is that Pakistan Army drives the state policy for India, with India. And Pakistan Army's relevance, whether it is domestic relevance, political relevance, even economic relevance, is basically because of anti-India stance. So that we have to see how to address the Pakistani army and to make sure that Pakistani army's image among the people of Pakistan is also dented. And that is what the attacks on Balakot, that is Japa Top, I call it Japa Top, because Japa Top is the terrorist camp. That is what really has happened. So they have the background too, and now they have not crossed the red lines. Yes. And we have called the nuclear bluff of Pakistan. For many years, they operated and executed terror strikes, which is the lowest end of conflict spectrum. Right. And they always had a rhetoric or a nuclear rhetoric that we are a nuclear nation and we can go nuclear. So the nuclear bluff has been fought. So there are a lot of changes that come about post-Pulwama. Right. Hats off to, we salute the 40 CRPF personnel who made the supreme sacrifice. But thereafter, things are changing, things have to change. And that is what India today is doing, politically, militarily, diplomatically, and also putting pressure on the economic front with the FATF now scheduled on 25th of February. So if Pakistan comes on the grey list, I think that would be the death knell for Pakistan. What Pakistan also done is that all the proscribed terror organizations, so they have created new organizations, especially in Jammu and Kashmir. So Pakistan will have to be one step ahead of Pakistan in defeating their aims, defeating their designs, and defeating terrorism.
Indeed, we leave it there. Thank you very much, General Vinod Bhatia and Praful Ketkar, for joining us and enlightening us on this subject, and also putting into focus our point of focus, which is the firm hand against terrorism and the gains that India has made. Moving on then, meanwhile, the Director General of Jammu and Kashmir Police, Dilbagh Singh, has congratulated Jammu and Kashmir Police for its alertness in foiling the possible terrorist attack in Jammu today. DGP Dilbagh Singh, while addressing the media in Jammu, said that the J&K police had arrested the chief commanders of the terror outfits Hidayatullah Malik and Zahoor Ahmed Radar, alias Sahil, from Jammu and Samba districts respectively, and foiled their nefarious designs of carrying out terrorist attacks in Jammu city. Dilbagh Singh further stated that Hidayatullah, on the instructions of his handlers from across the border, had done a recce of the office of the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, besides some prominent locations in New Delhi, and also of the Raghunath Temple in Jammu city, to carry out attacks.
हदायतुल्लाह मलिक जैश का, जैसे मैंने कहा कि जो लोकल आउटफिट लश्कर मुस्तफ़ा है उसको लीड कर रहा था, और पिछले काफ़ी अरसे से वो एक्टिव था मिलिटेंसी रिलेटेड कार्रवाइयों में। इसके अलावा आपको याद होगा कि 2018 में बहुत सारी आतंकी कार्रवाइयों में जैश ए मोहम्मद शामिल था। बहुत सारे दहशतगर्द पाकिस्तान की तरफ से एक टनल के जरिए से जहां पर आते थे, और उस टनल के जरिए से जो आतंकी आते थे उनको रिसीव करने के लिए आशिक नेंगरू नाम का एक कश्मीरी दहशतगर्द आता था। इसके साथ साथ इस आतंकी को जो पाकिस्तान में हैंडल करने वाला आदमी है, जिसको अलियास डॉक्टर के नाम से जानते हैं, उसके कहने पर ये बंदा दिल्ली भी जाता है, और दिल्ली में जाकर के हमारे एनएसए साहब अजीत डोभाल साहब के जो जहां पर वो ऑफिस है उन एरिया की रेकी करता है, फिल्म बनाता है, और वो फिल्म बना के पाकिस्तान अपने हैंडलर को भेजी जाती है। जिसका मतलब ये हुआ कि ये जम्मू कश्मीर के साथ साथ दिल्ली के अंदर भी अपने टारगेट जिनको ये निशाने पे लाना चाहते थे, खासतौर पे जैश ए मोहम्मद जिनको निशाने पे लाना चाहती थी, उनकी रैकी इनके जरिए से करवा रही थी। और उस रैकी के बाद वहां पर भी इस तरह की दहशतगर्दी की कार्रवाइयां प्लान करने का मंसूबा पाकिस्तान की एजेंसी ने, खासतौर पे जैश ए मोहम्मद ने बना रखा था। तो ये बहुत बड़ी कामयाबी है, जिसके चलते ये जो हदायतुल्लाह के पकड़े जाने के बाद इन चीज़ों का खुलासा हुआ।
Well, on his day-long visit to Tamil Nadu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated and laid the foundation stones of several key projects in the state. The common thread between all these projects is ensuring ease of living and promoting self-reliant India. Let's take a look at this report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi gifted key development projects to the state that are set to become very effective in the lives of common people in the coming days. PM Modi inaugurated the Chennai Metro Rail Phase 1 extension at a cost of Rs 3,770 crores to enable better travel for the people of the state. The 9-kilometer long extension of Chennai Metro will connect North Chennai with the airport and the Central Railway Station. PM Modi also said that the Chennai Metro is growing rapidly, and over 63,000 crore rupees have been set aside for a 119-kilometer Phase 2 of the project in this year's budget.
This project has been completed on schedule despite the global pandemic. The civil construction activities were done by Indian contractors. The rolling stock has been procured locally. This in line with the boost to Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Strengthening rail connectivity in the state, PM Modi also inaugurated the 4th railway line between Chennai Beach and Attipattu. This 22.1-kilometer section, laid at a cost of Rs 293.40 crore, traverses through Chennai and Thiruvallur districts. This section of the railway will ease out traffic from Chennai port, as PM Modi mentioned that the area between the Chennai Beach and Attipattu is a high traffic density route. PM also inaugurated the electrification of the single-line railway section at Villupuram, Kadalur, Mayiladuthurai, Thanjavur and Mayiladuthurai Thiruvarur. He said that this will ensure faster freight movement between Chennai Port and Kamarajar.
There is a need to ensure faster freight movement between Chennai Port and Kamarajar Port. The fourth line between Chennai Beach and Athipat will help in this respect. The electrification projects will be a great boon to the Delta districts.
In order to provide better means of irrigation in the state, PM Modi laid the foundation stone of the extension, renovation and modernization of the Grand Anicut Canal system. The canal is important for irrigation in the Delta districts. The modernization of this canal will be taken up at a cost of Rs 2,640 crores. PM Modi also lauded the farmers of Tamil Nadu for their record food grain production and good use of water resources.
I want to appreciate the farmers of Tamil Nadu for record food grain production and good use of water resources. For thousands of years, this Grand Anicut and its canal systems have been the lifeline of the rice bowl Tamil Nadu. The Grand Anicut is also an inspiration to our nation's Atmanirbhar Bharat goals.
Giving a big gift to Tamil Nadu in the field of education, PM Modi laid the foundation stone of the Discovery Campus of IIT Madras. The campus will be built at Thayur near Chennai at an estimated cost of Rs 1,000 crore in the first phase over an area of 2 lakh square meters. Rishi Kumar's report from Chennai for DD India.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke highly of Tamil heritage, culture and pride. He hailed the ancient culture of Tamil Nadu as one that crosses boundaries and is popular across the world. The Prime Minister's outreach to the Tamil community saw him reciting poems in the ancient language, as well as describing the efforts that his government has made towards the Tamil community in Sri Lanka. Let's look at this report.
A welcome as warm and vibrant as the Tamil culture. The spirit was festive with people playing traditional drums and donning costumes to welcome the Prime Minister on the long route from the airport to the venue of the program in Chennai.
Vanakkam Chennai. The city is full of energy and enthusiasm. It is a city of knowledge and creativity.
Prime Minister reciprocated the warmth he got not just with Vanakkam, he broke into Tamil poetry at several points during his address.
Varappu uyara neer uyarum.
In a gift to the Devendra Kula Velalar community, Prime Minister announced that the central government has accepted their long-standing demand to be known by their heritage name. The draft gazette to amend the constitutional schedule to correct their name as Devendra Kula Velalar has been approved by the central government. It will be placed before the parliament before the start of the next session.
This decision is more than a change of name. It is about justice, dignity and opportunity. There was a civilizational movement. It shows their self-confidence and self-pride, Atma Gaurav.
On the fishermen issue, Prime Minister also assured that the government will always protect their rightful interests. He said the Modi government has always ensured early release whenever fishermen are apprehended in Sri Lanka. More than 1,600 fishermen have been released during the tenure of the current government, and there is no Indian fishermen in Sri Lankan custody. Similarly, 313 boats have also been released, informed the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke of the welfare and aspirations of Tamils in Sri Lanka. He recalled that he is the only Prime Minister to visit Jaffna. The resources provided by this government for Tamils have been much more than in the past.
The issue of Tamil rights has also been taken up by us consistently with Sri Lankan leaders. We are always committed to ensuring that they live with equality, justice and peace and dignity.
Prime Minister described his government's self-reliance push as a means to supporting the aspirations and innovations of New India.
One thing is certain, the world is looking at India with great enthusiasm and positivity. This is going to be India's decade. And this is because of the hard work and sweat of 130 crore Indians. The government of India is committed to doing everything possible to support this surge of aspiration and innovation.
Tamil Nadu heads for assembly polls later this year. BJP and AIADMK are allies in the state, clearly visible as people waved the flags of both the parties as they welcomed Prime Minister to Chennai. With Philip Matthew, Bureau Report, DD India.
The Prime Minister on Sunday dedicated several key projects in Kerala to the nation. The BPCL propylene derivatives petrochemical project in Kochi, a Ro-Ro vessel service on Willingdon Island in Cochin, and the Sagarika International Cruise Terminal at the port of Cochin among them. Let's look at this report.
The works being inaugurated will energize the growth trajectory of India. Our actions today will shape our growth trajectory in the years to come. Together, we will build an Atmanirbhar Bharat.
In order to give a new impetus to the development of the country, PM Modi on Sunday dedicated several key projects in Kerala to the nation. Top of the list was Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited's propylene derivatives petrochemical project in Kochi. Products made in this complex are currently imported from outside. Now, about 3,700 to 4,000 crore rupees of foreign exchange would be saved since these products will be made in India.
This one project will help strengthen our journey toward being Atmanirbhar. Thanks to this complex, foreign exchange would be saved, a wide range of industries would gain, and employment opportunities would be generated.
PM Modi called the occasion a celebration of the development of Kerala and the country. PM also launched the Ro-Ro vessel service on Willingdon Island in Cochin. This service aims to reduce transportation costs and transit time that will benefit business. Along with this, traffic jams on the roads of Kochi will also be eased.
Dedicated of Ro-Ro vessels to the nation is special. A distance of almost 30 kilometers on road becomes 3.5 kilometers through waterways.
PM Modi also inaugurated the Sagarika International Cruise Terminal at the port of Cochin. It is India's first full international cruise terminal located at Ernakulam Ghat on Willingdon Island. Equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, the terminal has been constructed at a cost of 25.72 crore rupees.
Sagarika Cruise Terminal brings both comfort and convenience for tourists. It will cater to over 1 lakh cruise guests. In the World Tourism Index, ranking of India moved from 65th to 34th position.
The Prime Minister also inaugurated the Marine Engineering Training Institute at the Vigyan Sagar in the Cochin Shipyard Limited. It is the only maritime institute in India functioning within a shipyard, having extended training facilities for trainees on various vessels under construction or repair. The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone for the reconstruction of the South Coal berth at the port of Cochin. It is being renovated under the Sagar Mala scheme at a cost of 19.19 crore rupees. Prime Minister hailed the contributions of expats from Kerala. He assured them of support from the government in times of need. Prime Minister quoted the example of the COVID-19 pandemic. 50 lakh Indians were brought back under the Vande Bharat mission, which includes many citizens of Kerala. With bureau inputs, Ajay Joy's report, DD India.
Work continues to search for people still unaccounted for in the flash floods in Uttarakhand. Close to 150 people are still missing. 7 days have passed since the flash flood hit the Raini village in Tapovan NTPC project in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand. The family members of the victims of this disaster are now losing all hope. However, the district administration, the army, the NDRF, STRF, ITBP, NTPC and local police are engaged in this rescue and search operation on a war footing. The Delhi police has arrested a 21-year-old climate activist named Disha Ravi for her connections in the farmer toolkit which was shared by the Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg. And the Delhi police have issued a statement and they said that the OOL, in the initial questioning, Disha admitted that she edited the toolkit and forwarded it to others. Disha is one of the founders of Fridays for Future campaign. Amid continuing protests in Myanmar, the military government has stepped up efforts to control the movement of people by assuming vast powers, and this is for arrests and detention and the show of strength by moving armored vehicles also on roads. The armored vehicles were seen on the roads of Yangon on Sunday, even as the protests continued in the town. The American embassy issued an advisory to its people, asking them to stay at home, as there are indications of the military movement and possibility of telecom interruptions between 1 a.m. and 9 a.m. local time. Well, the U.S. Senate on Saturday, that's February 13, had voted to acquit the former President Donald Trump on a charge of inciting the January 6 riot at the Capitol by a vote of 57-43. The Senate voted to acquit. They were 10 short of the 67 that was needed for conviction. The acquittal is being reacted to largely on partisan lines. The Democrats claiming moral victory since they swayed. 7 Republicans say that the Republicans who voted to protect Trump would have to live with their decision, while the Republicans see it as a victory as well. Well, we are going to discuss this story, and in focus again tonight is this: Trump's acquittal and U.S. politics. And joining me for a discussion on this is Seema Sirohi, senior journalist and Foreign Affairs from Washington. Seema Sirohi is with us. Yes, ma'am. So does Donald Trump now have a future, one would ask, after this acquittal, a future in politics?
I would say yes. So far, it looks like he wants to remain a force in the Republican Party. I mean, the reason why more Republicans didn't vote to convict him is the fact that the Republican Party and the millions of voters still are in thrall of Donald Trump. And that is just a fact of life. That's why you heard Republicans trying to walk this really fine line. After voting to acquit him, they made statements condemning his conduct on January 6th. But that's like trying to have it both ways. Yes. But the main reason is that Trump is still very much a force in the Republican Party.
Yes, indeed. So, well, the Democrats who have been upset, with the Republicans who didn't vote according to their conscience, they say that, they should have voted according to their conscience. But how much now do you think that the Republicans who did vote to protect Trump were actually influenced by, voters back home? That they were worried that they may lose, the next time they go and face them?
That's exactly what I'm saying, that firstly, there's a midterm election in 2022, and Trump has already threatened that whoever goes against him or votes to convict him will face a primary challenge. The local wings of the Republican Party in various states have condemned the congressmen who voted. 10 congressmen of the Republican Party had voted for the whole process of impeachment before it came to the Senate. So there is a kind of a anti the revolution that Trump likes to call it is going on at local levels, and Republicans are running scared.
Okay, indeed. So let's talk a little bit about this revolution then, because while the January 6th insurrection, as it's called, seems to be condemned by all, even in this Senate trial, but does it reflect, some underlying brewing discontent, because the establishment seems to have become an area where, outsiders are not allowed. That's the way they look at it. Donald Trump portraying himself as a rank outsider and trying to do everything his own way was being treated in a bad way by this establishment. And the way the defense put up their case, they made this point as well, that, he is protected by the First Amendment. But really speaking, they were actually trying to get rid of him because they don't want to see him contest an election again, because they're afraid of him.
Well, the point is that 73 to 74 million people voted for Trump.
Yes.
That's a very huge number. And Republicans have to consider that the base of support for Trump is extremely large. The country is divided. There's no two ways about it. And the Republican Party had a good chance this time to try to get rid of Trump and try to reclaim their party back. But they've chosen not to because of the immediate political gains they will have. They want to get back the Senate. They want to get back the House of Representatives.
Yes.
And in 2 years' time, there will be a midterm election. So political calculations are sort of driving the agenda.
Yes.
And in terms of the First Amendment rights, the evidence that the Democrats put up, the House impeachment managers, was quite compelling. And in fact, that's what led to 7 Republican senators voting to convict Trump. It was so compelling to see how, in real time, what Trump was saying was driving these, his supporters to storm the Capitol building. True. And many of them have said that they were answering the call of Trump. Now, what I think we might consider is the investigation will go on. He may not have been convicted by the Congress, but there are criminal trials going on in the country, especially in Georgia. So the story is not over yet.
So the story is not over, but the U.S. president himself says that, he's going to come back and he's going to have a new vision and things like that. I mean, I beg your pardon, the former U.S. president. He says he's going to come back and he's going to have this vision and things like that. And he's galvanizing this 75 million voter base into some sort of a movement. Do you think that is what's likely to happen, or you think that, of these 75 million people who voted for Trump, quite a few of them are not actually in support of this kind of a movement?
It's hard to say how many are hardcore Trump supporters, but right now the way Republican leadership is acting in the Senate and in the House, it seems they are scared of Trump and his support. And so that's what the whole situation is all about. Now, if in any of the criminal investigations and court cases that are going on, if Trump is convicted in any of them, we shall see what kind of impact that will have. The next presidential election is 4 years away. There is a chance that the Republican Party could come back to its normal self, or some kind of, half and half situation. But right now, the influence of Trump is very strong.
So what would you say to, about this Senate proceedings itself? I mean, they were widely watched across the world. I mean, I was watching on YouTube and I found that, like they were going into almost 1 million hits. So this is the kind of footage that, the kind of eyeballs that it was generating. So this is the kind of interest in Donald Trump as a person, or is this the kind of interest in the US politics? What would you think?
I think the kind of interest is more into what happened on January 6th. I mean, this was such an incredible event that nobody had expected that there'd be violence and the seat of democracy in the United States would be attacked by thousands of people. I think that's what generated the eyeballs, and it's very compelling evidence of how these people were coming and attacking the police and looking to actually hang Vice President Mike Pence. They had erected a gallows outside the Capitol building. All that is very compelling for anybody, whether you're American or watching in Timbuktu. It's compelling television footage. And especially during the proceedings...
I'll just get your reaction. We're running short of time. Your reaction quickly about President Biden. While he won this election, he said that democracy has prevailed. But today, on the acquittal of Donald Trump, he said that democracy is fragile. So, I mean, how would you look at this as a consistent statement, or how would you analyze it?
He's been saying democracy is fragile for a while, since he was elected. And all his statements that you have to fight for it, institutions have to be rebuilt and strengthened. So, yes, the fact that the attack happened on January 6th has shaken everybody, including the president.
Right. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Ms. Sirohi. Thank you very much for joining us and enlightening us on the situation. Moving on to our next story, let's take a look now at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The tally of COVID-19 cases worldwide has surpassed 10 crore 90 lakh 90,326, and the total recoveries stand at 8 crore 11 lakhs 17,985. The deadly virus has claimed over 24 lakh 4,000 lives globally. The US continues to remain the worst affected from COVID-19, where more than 2 crore 81 lakh 96,000 cases have been registered. The country has reported over 9 lakh 96,000 has reported over 4,96,000 deaths due to COVID-19. And let's move on to the cricket story. A miserable batting collapse left England staring down the barrel of a heavy defeat in the second test against India in Chennai. On day 2, England were all out for 134 in their first innings. Ishant Sharma struck early to get India off to a dream start as he removed Rory Burns for a duck in the very first over of England's innings. Then spinner Ravichandran Ashwin took 4 wickets, and debutant Akshar Patel picked up 2 to push England on the back foot. Ashwin got Sibley out with at leg slip at the hands of Virat Kohli, while Akshar removed Joe Root, and Daniel Lawrence became Ashwin's second. And Ashwin, in fact, ended up taking 5 wickets in this match, and England were all out for 134. India came into bat after that, and India put on a pretty good start with 54 runs. They are batting currently. Rohit Sharma and Pujara are at the crease. And the second match of the Test series between India and England, which is going on at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also seems to be keeping an eye on this exciting match. Well, upon reaching Chennai today, the Prime Minister's helicopter passed over the stadium, and he saw a glimpse of the match from afar, and he shared an aerial view of the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium on Twitter. Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying that he caught sight of the match from the sky. Well, the newly elected president of the All India Chess Federation, Sanjay Kapoor, unveiled a blueprint to turn the country into a chess superpower. The All India Chess Federation is planning to bid for the Chess Olympiad and also commencing a high-profile Indian Chess League soon. The chess body is also planning for the effective setup of for chess schools and chess leagues. The AICF president Sanjay Kapoor added that the AGM and they had also decided, that's the annual general meeting, it had decided the post of the Women's Grand Prix and also which will be an important part of the Women's Championship cycle to give a huge boost to women players in the country. That concludes News Night for tonight. Thanks very much for being with us. Namaskar.